Hey everybody, it's James Silvis, owner and founder of Be That 1%. Welcome. If you're here stopping by for the first time, let me tell you what Be That 1% is. It's a mindset. It's a moment-by-moment decision of doing what 99% of the people won't do. Being the person that is strong enough and brave enough to go after your goal, go after your dream, to embrace who you are and use your strength to carve your own path. And today we have someone who I know as a dear friend. I'm really looking forward to helping him share his story and what he's been through and all the knowledge that he's learned along his way. It's Mitch Irussi.
How's it going, guys?
Yes. Welcome to Be That 1%.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So a quick backstory on my man here is he's 24 years old, and one thing that I really like about Mitch is that he's 24 years old and he's all natural. And he competes in open, I think it was the Men's Physique Legends Classic, right?
It's true.
And to be all natural in this sport is not easy.
Oh no, definitely not.
Yeah, and if you just take one look at him, you'll see all the cuts and the definition that this guy has. Just goes to show his dedication and his discipline. But when he was in high school, he went to the Junior Olympics for wrestling. He's been doing this for 11 years. Talk about commitment. He has his own personal training business, and he travels around the country competing in these competitions. So I'm really looking forward to getting into his mindset and finding out how he does what he does. So without further ado, welcome again, and just give us a little back history on you.
All right, what's up, guys? My name is Mitch Irussi, like you said, 24 years old. I've been competing for about 4 years now. Just sort of fell into it accidentally. I first started working out when I was 13, actually. It just started because I really just wanted to get girls. I was super skinny, super short, wasn't really good looking, my hair didn't look good, nothing was on point, no fashion style, nothing. So I had to, build up some sort of attributes to myself to sort of gain some confidence, some self-esteem. So a lot of people struggle with that in high school, middle school. It's just sort of natural. You're sort of worried about fitting in, trying to be popular and have a lot of friends. So you want to sort of maximize your potential to, have a great life and have all those great things of social life and social aspects. And then, so for my wrestling background, I started when I was 5 years old, actually. My dad and uncle were really good at wrestling. They both went to the NCAAs, placed about quarter and semifinals, one for each. My dad actually, he made it to the real Olympics. He went to the training grounds and got accepted, but couldn't actually go because he was getting married, getting another job promotion, having my older brother as a son. So a lot of things going on in his life, so all those sort of wrestling athletic genetics was sort of built into me. So I've always been an athletic kid, a lot of energy, a lot of sort of like hard work and dedication dedicated to physical work. And I have a lot of like natural ability to push past those mental barriers that I've gotten from teachings from my dad and my grandpa and things of that nature.
That's awesome, man. That's great. So I have a couple questions. You said your dad went to the Olympics, so you kind of grew up in this competitive family.
Yes.
Always pushing yourself past the limits and basically challenging your body to see what you can endure.
Yes.
When would you say that you developed, was there a philosophy that kind of helped you get through all those painful moments or those times of pushing your body to the limits?
It wasn't more of a philosophy. It was more of just tired of being average and tired of not standing out. From a young age, I would see people, let's say like a kid who's 13 years old winning the X Games at skateboarding, and they'll interview him. They said he started when he was 6 years old. So I would see interviews like that and like athletes at the Olympics, and they would say they started at like literally the youngest age you could start that craft at. So I knew that if I wanted to be the best at something, I had to start something at the youngest age you possibly could. And so when I finally decided this, I went through a bunch of phases like guitar and skateboarding and stuff like that. People go through phases in like middle school and high school age, and then I didn't really find my passion, nothing that that I would put in that extra work for. But little did I realize that every single night I would be working out in my basement at 2 in the morning, trying to gain some muscle at 13, 14 years old, not really being able to because I was a late bloomer for hitting puberty and things like that, so it was really hard to gain size and things of that nature. So I knew I needed to start at the youngest possible age I could if I wanted to be the best at something. So when I was around 13 years old, that's when I decided to really buckle down and just sort of put my nose to the grindstone and see what I can make of myself.
That's awesome. And was your family always supportive of this endeavor that you chose, or?
Wasn't really supportive or non-supportive. It was just something I did. I guess they didn't really enjoy me working out to loud music at 2 or 3 in the morning in our basement, coming down, screaming, "What's that racket?" Stuff like that. But it all worked out in the end.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's cool, man. Tell us about a moment, maybe through your career, where you felt like maybe this hasn't happened, but a moment where you felt like you almost wanted to give up because what you wanted either seemed too much, or what you were going through either just seemed like a lot that you had on your shoulders.
It's actually a great question, because actually a few months ago, June 2nd, on my birthday, I was actually thinking about just quitting this whole fitness thing in general, because for about 18 months, the whole 18-month period prior to that, I wasn't really able to gain any size. I had a lot of built-up injuries and built-up complications from 11 years of constant lifting every single day, day in, day out, cardio, sports, different activities, things like that. So what happened was my body was my muscles were all bound up and tightened, and sort of created all these little injuries and trigger points. If anyone's into like physical therapy and stuff like that, you know what trigger points are. It sort of hinders your athletic movement, hinders your range of motion, and prevents you from being, the person you want to be. And over time, it was just sort of snowball into more and more problems. And in the 18-month period, I wasn't able to gain any size really. I was just sort of blocked by my own body. I was just sort of, stuck in limbo. I wasn't getting any size, and working out wasn't fun anymore, which is the main reason why I got into it. It was super fun. Changing your body, seeing that the work that you do actually makes a difference and can change your life and change your mindset and gain you confidence. And for the 18-month period prior to that, it just wasn't happening. It was just completely forced, and I was at my wit's end for it. I was like 18 months in, nothing's happening, and I have all these injuries, and I didn't know what to do. And luckily, my massage therapist, her name's Karen Garrett, she found a machine that electrically recharges your cells from a negative charge to a positive charge.
Oh, wow.
It's a really amazing machine. It fixes people's arthritis, tendonitis, or not tendonitis, I think it's in the ear, but arthritis and things that hurts. No, tinnitus is in the ear. Tendonitis is in your bones. Let me retract that statement on the personal trainer. But yeah, so what it did was recharge my cells, and I had really poor wrist movement, and now I can fully move my wrist. My neck was being fixed. She can do it like your face and your nostrils to clear your sinuses, and it's a really amazing machine. And what it did was it started fixing all those many injuries within my muscles that I couldn't really get through my own stretching and my own tactics to try to combat that. So it really reset the whole thing and put me back on my path.
So what mentally did you tell yourself through that course of time that switched things for you?
Switch things to a bad
Yeah,
state?
so like when you found that, the woman that you just mentioned,
Yes.
I'm sure there was a thought process or a belief that you carried on that maybe helped you push through.
Yeah, so pretty much, like I said, through my whole life, I was going through different phases like skateboarding, guitar. Yeah. I always wanted to be the best at something, and I know that being skillful at something rather than not is exponentially more fun and way more worth your time. So, I'm sorry, I forgot.
No. So you're saying it stems from the original one, which is not being average.
Yes.
Right, and being the best. So in that time of you wanting to quit, you reminded yourself of, in essence, why you started?
Yeah, I remember what I was going to say. In essence, I remembered all the times I quit before. Like for wrestling, I quit wrestling because it wasn't fun. I quit guitar because it was too hard. I quit skateboarding because I wasn't getting as good, as fast as I wanted. So in my past days, I would always quit crafts that I wanted to exceed at. And this is something that I finally wanted to buckle down and say, I'm not going to quit at this. I'm 11 years deep. I'm way too far into this. There's no way you're going to quit until you get what you want. So that's what really just kept me on my track. And I just would have been drowning in a pool of disappointment if I actually did quit. So I'm really glad that I didn't.
Good. That's awesome. What is your perception on fear and or failure?
I think failure is like one of the greatest things you can experience in life. Really, I think you learn the most from failure. It's just pure negative reinforcement. You know, you do something that's incorrect and you learn the correct way, and you'll be doing that correct way for the rest of your life. So I think the biggest failure in life is never failing, to be honest, because the more you fail, the more you try, the more great things you discover, like Thomas Edison.
Right, like 10,000.
10,000 or something like that, light bulbs before he figured the right one. You know, that's what you got to do. You just got to keep trying and trying and trying until it happens. It's just effort over time, and then eventually the randomness of time will meet with your effort, and then it'll explode into something amazing.
Yeah. One thing that I shared last night on Facebook Live was that failure, there's this story that I read, I think like 2 years ago, about a CEO. When she was a little girl, she would come home and her dad would always ask her, so what did you fail at today?
Yeah.
And she would say, I failed at this, I failed at this, I failed at this, and they would have this big celebration.
Yeah.
And what did you learn? And so she reflecting on that, she's like, that's why I'm so successful today, is I changed the meaning of what failure meant.
Yes.
It wasn't a bad thing.
Yes,
So-
it's definitely great when you're a child, and definitely the younger you are, the better. I see a lot of the culture nowadays sort of getting a little softer to where people don't want to let their children fail or experience fear or experience the unknown, and venturing into the unknown and outside your comfort zone, that's where life starts.
Right.
Life doesn't start in your comfort zone, it starts out of it.
Exactly.
Because you know everything you know right now, if you're trying to make your life better, obviously isn't working new.
Try something new. I always say grow or die every single day.
Yeah.
That's awesome, man. Let's see. What wisdom would you give someone who wants to do what you do?
Wisdom.
Maybe just some experience or something.
First I would say good luck, because it's extremely hard. It's definitely not for everyone. Pretty much with anything that you want to exceed or be, you know, top tier at, you're gonna need passion for it. You cannot work 100% and put in those extra hours that you need to if you don't like what you're doing. Because when you're doing those extra hours of work, all you're gonna be thinking about is, when is this gonna be over? When is this gonna be done? I don't want to be doing this. I'm not having fun. There's no enjoyment out of this. I don't like this. So you really have to have passion towards your craft.
Yeah.
And that's what I found out with lifting. I didn't even realize it. I had passion to lift at 2, 3 in the morning every single night as a kid. You know, little to you know, and that it would turn into something bigger than that.
Right. If you don't care about what you do, then you're not going to do your best. That's
Exactly.
Just with anything.
And also having passion for something also sparks creativity and, you know, a creative mindset for approaching your problems. So I think a lot of things that people don't try to learn or grow on is how they problem solve actually. They need to learn their, you know, decision-making process and improve on that.
That's awesome. Do you have any morning rituals that you stick to, or morning habits that you do every single morning that kind of set your day up for success?
I just play with my pets, you know. I love my pets.
Cool.
I have 2 cats and a rabbit. I love them.
Nice.
I love them. They're the greatest, and I just play with them every morning. You know, it's just unconditional love back and forth, so it's a great way to start your day.
That's true. That's true. I think a lot of successful people have something that they do in the morning that, you know, sets their mind up for whatever they want to achieve in their life. So it sounds like you got that. What do you think a strength is that maybe you've recently recognized or you've always known about yourself that has gotten you to push through and get to where you are?
I would say sort of like being crazy. I think anything that takes an excessive amount of work, you need to be crazy for it. And if you're not doing something where people are, you know, sort of confused by it, then you're not really doing anything interesting or something that matters. Because if you're just doing stuff that's inside the norm that, you know, people do every day, they're not going to take notice to it, and you're not going to be, you know, you're not going to break out of the shell. So I think you definitely need to try new things and definitely explore your passions.
I like that. Be crazy. We're all crazy in our own ways, man. Just embrace it. So I'm trying to be average.
I didn't for the longest time because I just thought like the meditation, chakra stuff was all sort of like hippie sort of culture.
Right.
I didn't really like believe in Eastern medicine.
I think a
But
lot of people feel like that.
as I sort of like grown more and done more research in that area, I'm sort of switching over from Western to Eastern medicine and seeing, you know, the benefits of both. And
Yeah.
definitely meditation. Definitely everyone should at least do, I'd say, half an hour, 3-4 days a week.
Yeah.
Easy.
something that Amanda and I have recently started was we did a 100-day challenge. Part of that is to meditate for 1 hour every day.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And so if you're meditating for 30 minutes, I'm sure you'll know that like for the first 20 minutes, it's chaos.
Yeah.
And then once you get past that breaking point, things start settling down, and then you enter like this zen.
Yes.
Like the moment where there's almost no thought,
Yeah.
and you're just there in the moment.
There's no thought, no feeling, no perceptions.
Exactly.
It's just you and your mind.
Exactly. And I think that that's such a good metaphor for life, is like that initial start is always the hardest. The first step is always the hardest. And, you know, in meditation, the first 20 minutes is, wow, what's going on? And then after that, you enter this I don't know, comfort. And then it's not smooth sailing, but it's better sailing than the first 20. So, yeah, that's good.
Yeah, definitely like that. Building off that, I definitely say like the hardest part of the gym is going to the gym. So what I like to do is if I don't want to go that day, I'll take my pre-workout at home before I even go. Even if I don't want to go, I'll just take it. So then your body starts feeling all warm and itchy, and you start feeling it flowing all through you, and then you sort of have to go, because if you don't start working out, you're going to feel terrible. So
Yeah.
that's a little trick for you guys.
There you go. Nice. What, hold on, what is that? Is that I can edit that now. Yeah, all right, so what is a book, a movie, or video that has changed your perception on life?
Changed my perception on life. I'll say the zeitgeist. Things like that. It's opened my eyes to a lot of things. I'd say if you want to get into stuff like that, research Dr. Stephen Greer. He has a lot of good information just sort of around him, and he's a really good, prominent doctor and scientist in the field that I'm into. So
Nice. What is that name again?
Dr. Stephen Greer.
Stephen Greer.
G-R-E-E-R.
G-R-E-E-R. Beautiful. Okay. How much time do you dedicate to yourself a week for personal development, self-reflection, any type of growth for you personally?
Oh God, I'd say 99% of it.
Yeah.
I try to do all of it really. Pretty much my mindset is once I wake up, I try to utilize every second of that day. You know, I don't really like to play excessive amounts of video games. I haven't had cable since I moved out to here.
Yeah.
Since I moved out here since 2011, I haven't had cable. You know, you try to keep all the meaningless stuff just sort of low. Like, don't go on Instagram, go on the Explore page and just waste hours of your day. You know, those hours could be put into something else. So every second adds up, and every day adds up, and eventually over time, you know, the people who dedicate that time to a craft will eventually become someone big in that field, and the people who didn't, who gave up, will just be average and forgotten.
Right. I mean, it's so easy. There's so many distractions. We got phones, we got TV shows, we got noise constantly bombarding our minds. And so if we don't take the little things that we can control out of our life and dedicate it more to what we actually want, who we are, what we can offer, our strengths, and putting our focus on that, then we're wasting our time. And then you can't get mad that you're not where you are because you're not taking advantage of the time that you're actually given. So for him, he's spending 99%, you know, most of his day is, how can I be better? What can I do more? You know, it's constantly, it's a growth mindset, an obsession for growth.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And also going sort of back in time, back before I sort of knew this philosophy, I'll just sort of like, you know, when you go to bed at night and sort of recap your day, I'll think of things that I wish would happen. You know, I wish I could do this, or I wish I was doing this, or I wish I was this way. But, you know, I would realize that I'm not actually doing anything in that day to make that happen. And a lot of people have a really hard time like admitting to themselves that they're not being their best, or they're not the person they want to be. Because the hardest thing is admitting to yourself that, you know, you're just not cutting it. Because it's hard to hear it from other people, and it's really hard to tell yourself that.
And to look in the mirror and know, like, be honest with yourself.
Self-awareness is key.
Yeah.
Like, I realized, like, going back to the Instagram thing, I'll go on the Explore page and just look at all these random pictures that would be visually stimulating, but then I'll leave feeling like bad. I would feel like I wasted my time, I didn't accomplish anything, I would feel worse. So just realize like how you're mentally perceiving your actions throughout the day and what they're actually doing to yourself. And if they're not making you happy, or if they're not making you grow or learn anything, you gotta cut them out.
Right.
Same with the people too. If there's people in your life that aren't helping you grow, you gotta cut them out too.
Right, and it sounds harsh, but that's what it takes, right? And self-awareness is so crucial. And once you become aware of the things that aren't benefiting you, your whole life changes. A mindset that I've embraced in my own life is when I go to bed at night and I feel like I haven't grown in any area of my life, I literally cannot go to sleep. I don't know if you're the same way, but I'll lay in my bed and I say, what did I do today? Is it better, or is it the same, or is it worse? And if it's, mostly the time it's not worse, but if there's a day where I literally feel like I have not grown at all, my eyes won't shut. I'll either pick up a book and read 10 pages of it, I'll do something that makes me at least feel like I've grown in some way. And I think it's important to adopt something like that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. What happened to you that was really hard, or didn't make sense at the time, but looking back on it, you're so glad that happened?
Yeah, it can be kind of messed up, because not a lot of people can put themselves in the shoes of this story. So basically, I didn't really have a really good family life growing up, and because of that, I grew up in Ohio, so I moved 2,000 miles west to Las Vegas and sort of cut the whole team, all my friends, all my family. I had to cut it all behind because, like I said, they weren't benefiting my life. I wasn't getting to where I needed to be. They weren't making me progress at the rate that I was, and once I cut them off, I just started to progress at the rate I wanted to. So it was a hard thing to do at the time, but at the same time right now, I don't really have anything holding me back. I don't have any obligations to live in a certain state or be anywhere at any time because of that, and it's freed up a lot of time and a lot of mental capacity to focus on my craft.
You talked about being around people who are empowering you, making you better. Is there certain traits that you look for in certain people that when you get around them, you're like, yes, I want to spend more time with this person, or I could really learn from that person, so let me put myself in that environment?
Yes, I would definitely say finding people who are crazy like myself, and sort of they would appear crazy to you when they talk, but once you actually listen to the words that they're saying, it makes a lot of sense to you, and it actually makes a lot of sense on paper. So find people that are creative, have new ideas you haven't heard of, that are just interesting to you. You have to also make sure that they actually have substance behind it, and intelligence and knowledge behind the words that they're saying, and they're not just talking to hear themselves talk.
Beautiful. What does being that 1% mean to you?
I would say just like doing whatever it takes. When it gets down to that point where you want to give up, you gotta push back 3 times as hard, and turn that crazy switch in your head and just sort of exceed past everyone else. It's not really a matter of like finding out what to do. It's literally just doing it. Everyone reaches that mental barrier. Everyone reaches that mental wall, and a lot of people just smack it instead of trying to bust through it. So you just gotta take your fears head on, take your hardships head on, and then on the other side of that wall, it's a lot better. It's a lot better than on the before side.
Yeah, absolutely. So give us some pointers on like our bodies. What are some things that maybe most people aren't aware of, something to incorporate more of, something like that?
I say something that not a lot of people know of, just sort of, it's called macros or macronutrients. So what macronutrients are is protein, carbs, and fats. So when you want to worry about losing or gaining weight, that's essentially all you really need to worry about for your nutrition. A lot of people get caught up in like fat-free this, sugar-free that, gluten, non-GMO, all this stuff. It's just fads. It's just fad stuff. Like there's no such thing as the blank diet. It's just eating good. It's just eating what's right. It's just doing the work and then just seeing the results. So for the thing that I would teach everyone is when, let's say if you're trying to lose weight, which is I would say 85% to 90% of people's main goal, you just want to eat less calories than you're burning throughout the day. And that could be anything you want. And so I'll get a little technical here. Yeah. The calories you burn out throughout your day that you would burn, let's say in a coma or sleeping, is called your BMR, your basal metabolic rate. So let's say yours is 2,000 calories.
Mm-hmm.
You could eat 2,000 calories of McDonald's every single day and not gain a single pound. But if you eat 1,900 calories of McDonald's every single day, you'll be losing weight because your only calories is the only thing that's going to create fat. Fat is created from excess calorie intake. It's not created from eating bread or eating gluten or any of that stuff. It's just excess calorie intake through and through. It's as simple as that. So if you want to lose weight, go online, type in BMR calculator, type in your height, weight, and age. It'll tell you how many calories you burn just from breathing, and then just eat less of it and do a little running. Simple as that.
Nice.
Eat less, run more. This is really as simple as that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So for myself, is there any like exercises that maybe are crazy to you that maybe a good thing to implement and maybe into your routine just for overall functionality or strength?
Yeah, so let's say on a pull-up bar, instead of just going straight up, you can sort of lean your body so then your body is in an upside down plank and your back is facing the ground, and then you just you're doing this motion, but in front of you is the ceiling. So you're doing just a regular row, but directly up towards the ceiling, and you're also engaging your abs because your legs are completely straight in a plank. So you're just pulling yourself up, upside down, sort of towards the ceiling. It's a really cool motion.
Yeah.
It takes a lot of coordination to, if you're not tall, you can jump up to the bar, curl your legs in, do like a little gymnastics move, slowly let them down.
Right.
It's got a lot of movements in it. It's kind of like the kick-ups thing where you grab a pull-up and you shove it down, and you're on top of it.
A modification for that, maybe someone is not at that level, would they be able to sit in a squat rack, put the bar on the safety bars?
Yes,
and
definitely.
pull yourself up that way?
Absolutely, you could have your legs on the ground and just pull up your upper body. Lots for a lot of variations, or a lot of exercises have variations to modify for people who have limited mobility or limited range of motion or limited strength even if you're a beginner. So you can always just imagine what your body is doing in sort of a free space, and then you can just sort of imagine yourself rotating. You can change the angle, you can do it up, down, just sort of making the resistance fight against gravity so that it works for you.
Nice. I know Tim Ferriss has talked about this. I'm not sure if you know this or what, but he talks about 120 seconds of exercise, and that's how you maximize the hormones inside your body for maximum growth. What do you care to comment on that, or?
I actually haven't heard about that, but he might be referring to time under tension.
Okay. That's
So
what it is,
yes, so what you want to do is when you're actually exercising, let's say you're doing a curl, you want to lift it up and never have it all the way back down, so your arm is straight, because at this point there's no resistance on your arm. It only has resistance when it's bent. So you want to have it constantly bent until you're done with the exercise, then you let it all the way back down. And that goes with everything. So if you're on a bench press, you never push it all the way up, because when it's all the way up and your arms are locked out, your chest muscles aren't engaged. You want to have them engaged the whole time. It's not about how much you can lift. If you see me in the gym, I'm not going to be lifting a lot of weight. I'm going to be moving very, very slowly. I'm going to be imagining what my muscles are doing inside of me, how they're stretching, how they're contracting. It's all about how you contract your muscles rather than the weight on top of it.
Yeah. I know my brother has talked about Kai Green and not lifting heavy weight at all. Sometimes even lifting the same weight that women lift.
Yes.
But he focuses on every fiber of the muscle in that exercise.
Yeah. If it feels like it hurts and you feel that good pain, and if you're only holding a 5-pound dumbbell, keep doing it.
Yeah.
It's gonna be what's gonna work for you.
Yeah, that's awesome. So I appreciate you sharing all of that wisdom with us. Is there anything that you want to leave with us? Just one line or a sentence, a phrase you want to leave with us?
Going back to what I said, guys. Venture outside your comfort zone. Try new things. Do things that seem scary to you. If there's a pretty girl walking by and you think she's out of your league, just go talk to her. Nothing bad is going to happen. The worst that happens is she says no. Fear is false evidence appearing real. I'm sure a lot of you guys have heard of that. Just don't fall into it, guys. Try new things, try scary things, try things that are unknown, try things you have no idea what they are.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate you, man.
Appreciate it.
All
Thanks.
right. Go be that 1% in your own life. It's important to embrace your own strength, embrace your weakness, embrace your strength, embrace your identity. Go out there, share your gift with the world, because the world is waiting. Thank you.